Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. This is Tabletop Legends. We are live, coming at you from sunny our various houses as quarantine continues. We all do our best to stay home, stay safe. We hope that you out there are doing the same, and we appreciate you coming to spend a couple of hours playing D&D and hanging out with us as we all get through this together. Jason is super zoomed in. I'm glad that
I don't feel like
are you like, granted, I don't remember having any of you sign contracts, but do you have like a clause in your contract that says you have to do something that just like
I'm
makes
legally
all of my
obligated.
hard work in cameras and overlays just useless as soon
fine.
as I start streaming every week?
Yes.
All right.
That was the Curtis clause.
Welcome back. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you at home for joining us. I want to give a quick couple of shout outs to our sponsors, do a quick recap, and then we'll jump into our intro video and start tonight's session. So really quickly, thank you to Tabletop Legends sponsors Marble Moon Studio and the 8th House. Thank you to Team MZ, the Twitch affiliate programs, Team MZ, Many-Sided Dice, and of course, thank you to our newest sponsor, Little Dragon Corp. You can type exclamation Little Dragon at any time in the chat tonight to get a link to Little Dragon Corp's website where you can check out all sorts of dice and tabletop gaming paraphernalia, all sorts of other fun game time nerdy things which all of us need currently as we are stuck inside and need ways to entertain ourselves for the next foreseeable future. So please give them a check them out, and if you do decide to buy anything from them, you can use our code PROBONUS at checkout for a 10% discount. Thank you, Little Dragon Corp. Okay, so we return basically in the wrap-up phase of our Scarred Lands adventure arc. The party, the Fool's Errant, are way down in the southern part of the map that you can see here on your our Twitch viewers can see. Our players can't unless they've got Twitch open. Way down in the southern kingdom of Honorand, making a long journey to a place called the Scarred Lands, which, as it turns out, was a long-buried Invarian research station, which had been established to study some sort of a strange ship or vessel of some sort that, as the group has learned via their exploits in the research station, is potentially older than the Invarian Empire itself, which essentially means the Fool's Errant have stumbled upon something that possibly predates recorded history here in Orahole, in our campaign world. They fought their way through several levels of the complex, battling through these strange, monstrous creatures which, when defeated, were releasing these echoes showing the party visions of the past, essentially revealing the fate of this research station to be caused by an accident, Invarians tampering with time magic to try and study the origins of this vessel that they had found down here. Everything went awry when an earthquake struck the facility, causing the device that they were using to become damaged and explode, causing the warp in the facility and the surrounding area that for thousands of years after would lead to this place being discussed and known as the Scarred Lands by the local populace. Where we left off, the party had just defeated a big, bad, scary, time-manipulated monster human person who was at the very bottom, right next to the device, the arcane device itself, and witness the final moments of this research facility as the Invarians here were trying to rout out what they viewed as a pest problem, a group of blink dogs that had come up from further underground and taken residence inside this vessel, attracted by the energy source of their chronal device. And a battle that was abruptly cut short when the earthquake struck that destroyed the facility. And seemingly impossibly, Nula is now in possession of a several thousand-year-old, essentially time-preserved blink dog pup. So that is where we left off last night, and we will continue to see what the party will do in this facility and making their way back to civilization, how they will report their discovery, and what they will do from here in tonight's episode of Tabletop Legends. So we'll be right back after this. And welcome back. So, the table is yours. You guys are currently in the interior of that vessel. Nula has her blink dog pup. The shattered remains of the large hourglass-like device are scattered along the deck at your feet. A couple of you had scooped up a pocket full of that sort of blue crystalline sand that came out of it.
Okay. How heavy does the remains of the device look?
You gauge it's probably a few hundred pounds. It's just a bit taller than like where the top of Nula's horns are. Fully upright and intact. It's just a bit taller than she would be. A lot of it was glass, which has shattered, and being that the sand is out of it, the framework of it is probably not as heavy as the full intact device would be. But even still, what's left is probably a few hundred pounds worth of large, unwieldy framework.
Hey, Laura, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Getting as much of this into the bag of holding as possible?
You have a bag of holding?
Yeah.
You do.
Oh yeah, that's right. We got it from the guy. I was actually thinking that if we all held on to the device and teleported back with the scroll, it might come with us.
We could do that too.
Or cause horrible time and space conundrums that destroy us and/or the fabric of reality. But
let's not risk that. I mean, we saw what happened when this thing reacted badly with a earthquake inside of the ship. Besides,
that was for emergencies.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Do you think the Scarred Lands are still the Scarred Lands? Do you think it's messed up outside still?
Make a Walter. Make a perception check as you ask that question.
Aren't we already outside?
No.
No, I assume we're still in the boat.
You're still in the boat.
Yeah.
No, but I meant like at one point we were outside, right?
Of the boat.
Not
I don't think
since we resolved this.
No, we haven't. I
That's
mean, we
all.
were outside like when we came in, but like I don't
Yep.
think we haven't like left the building yet. We haven't left the
No.
ship to the best of my awareness. Yes, I rolled a 5.
Okay. Proceed.
Fidget would like to cast Detect Magic and look around for anything that might be intact and still giving off auras.
Okay. So as you do this, cast the spell. Sort of the predator, heat vision, thermal vision, magic detection overlays over your sight. Kind of scan across the other members of the party. You see the sort of the faint magical auras emanating off of the various items that they're holding or carrying that that have been enchanted in one way or another. You can see the device itself. That same, I believe you had done this before, and looked at something giving off this magic, and I had said like it's magic, but it's not a school of magic you're familiar with. The smashed like chrono device. You basically are watching as the aura of magic, kind of like steam rising off of cooling, whatever might be drawn to Fidget's mind, steam off of cooling vegetables or something, is dissipating.
Early morning manure.
Yeah, is dissipating into the air, getting fainter and fainter. You see that the magic that was contained within this object, as this sort of final like shift of the vessel triggered by the massive dog monster, knocked it over and smashed it the rest of the way completely. The magic has been negated from it. It is in the process of just dissipating away to nothingness.
So what was the object that we needed to bring back? Was it the broken thing?
Probably that.
There wasn't specifically something that you had been sent to retrieve, so much as you had been sent. Your mission was essentially go see what's there, and if there's something to bring back, bring it back. If there's information to gather, bring that back. So it's really up to you guys what you think is the the play here.
I mean, we have a teleportation circle, presumably, from the from the Invarian Empire. Like, we have I've written it down in my book, so we have a copy. That itself is probably valuable beyond measure.
Not to mention, if somebody, say the Ordinum Libri, is able to reactivate some of these magical devices, there might be information stored on them still.
When he says information, I'd like to start looking around for any like writing from the pre-Invarian area, like if there's any kind of like written anything.
Sure. So what you, as you sort of begin to search around, what you quickly discover is that there does appear to be more to this vessel than what you had seen, which is essentially like the top deck, even though it was sealed in, and now you're in sort of like kind of a main hold area. It does appear that there is more places that you could go, but there are these like heavy duty sealed down like bulkhead doors. You can see you don't see any like writing or inscriptions or engravings or anything like that. You are able to make out, just based on sort of the placement of the chronal device itself, and some of the you see some like scoring on the material of the ship. It looks like the Invarians were like, possibly this is as far as they got. So you don't see any way to like access these other portions of this vessel from where you are. But you get the sense looking for writing or information that the Invarians had been making attempts to get past these and get further into this vessel as well.
Sure.
Should we check out the rest of this ship?
I mean, whatever else we can find, since we can probably be reasonably confident we're not going to be accosted by these things anymore, since the time bubble is broken.
While Nula's discussing this, she is most certainly taking an extra shirt from her pack and making a little bandana for the dog.
Okay.
You're not just going to put the shirt on him?
So the blink dog pup is kind of like, it seems a little confused, though not overly distressed at this point. Kind of just like mostly tolerates you sort of handling it. Every once in a while, it kind of makes like sort of squeaking noises.
I'm gonna find whatever rations I have and give him those.
Okay.
How long does it look like it's going to take for this aura to dissipate?
It's pretty much like fading
minutes?
before your eyes here.
Okay.
All right. None of the other bulkhead doors look like they've been broken into.
It does not look like the Invarians made it any further than this chamber into this vessel.
Should we send a message back to the wizards and ask them if they want us to explore further or just come back?
Can
Do
we?
we have the ability to send them a message without walking all the way back?
Or straight up using the teleportation circle and then not being able to do it anyway?
I don't.
None of us do.
Who's got a favorite bulkhead? Let's try one of them and then leave.
Meeny, miny, mo.
Okay.
I approach one that's got, say, the heaviest scoring.
Okay.
And I'll make an investigation check. Let's see. 15 plus... That's a 24.
As you look at it, you see, unlike the doors in the Invarian compound, and unlike that irising door that you entered into this space, or the above space, I should say, this, besides the fact that it is like clearly, framed out as a passageway, you see no seams or no hinges or anything that would really indicate how this would be opened. It's basically just almost like a solid piece of... You'd almost call it another solid piece of wall, if not for the fact that it was like inside a framed space that clearly like indicates, oh, this would be like a passage through to another part of the vessel.
I mean,
I can go topside and try to like poke around where the damaged seams are. Where the in the room we're in, can we see that there's damage above us?
No. So essentially, the tearing into it, the ripping and slashing of that metal was in that like kind of shell dome that covered the top deck that you guys like entered through that iris part into. So essentially,
Gotcha.
You guys came from the outside. You jumped onto what essentially was like the stern would be a stern castle on a sailing vessel. Kind of made your way down through that iris door, and got the lay of like the top deck. That was covered with that shell that had the rips in it, and then you went down a set of steps, one level further into the deck that you're on now, which is entirely sealed in.
All right.
I have
I mean,
2 thoughts. The first one is that I can try to look behind exactly one door. The second is that magic is not always the answer. Sometimes violence is the answer.
I'm gonna turn and look at Nula, and then just wait.
What?
Looks like they already tried violence on this.
That's why I said sometimes.
Do you want me to hammer it?
I a little bit want to see what happens. I mean, yes.
Fidget.
Yeah.
Can you take Blink Puppy outside so he doesn't get distraught by the loud noises?
I cannot.
Could someone else take the puppy outside so he does not
I want to know what happens when you hit the door.
I'll take
I'll
the friggin'
take
dungeon.
I pass puppy up.
I dismiss Scooter just in case Blink Puppy goes, ooh, something to eat. And I take the pup outside. I want to carefully try and take a look along the sides of the ship to see if there's any potential entry points along that way.
Okay, do 2 things. Make an animal handling check, and then make a perception check.
Animal handling is 13.
Okay. And then perception.
22.
Okay. So you take the Blink pup, kind of make your way back to the deck above, and then kind of out. As soon as you pass through that iris door that you guys like pried open, you go from perfectly level to like on an angle again. You're able to sort of shimmy along the wall that has the door in it to get to the edge where you can then look out and around. You do not see any signs of damage along like the sides that would indicate like, oh, maybe we could like scuttle along the hull and get in elsewhere from where you are outside. And Nula, you're down below. You're gonna hit against one of these doors with your hammer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, make an attack roll.
10.
All right, so you basically just grip your hammer 2-handed. You kind of take a crow hop and just swing with all your might into the solid kind of metal of this door with just a resounding like boom. As you look, kind of feel, you don't even think you made like a scuff in it, let alone a dent.
All right.
So what? You think like another like 5 or 6 of those and we're good?
Is there like a seam on the door?
Not that you can see.
So, all intents and purposes, it looks very much like a wall.
Very much. That was what I was saying. Is besides the fact that it's got like a door frame around it, and is like based on the layout of the interior of the ship here, it's like where you would make passage into another portion of the vessel. It is like it's like completely solid and completely smooth without even a seam or a sign of a hinge. It's very difficult to tell by looking at this, like how even this thing opens, whether it swings or slides or irises like the other one. Based on just looking at it, you really have no real
Does
indication
the
of
frame itself look anything special?
it's basically made out of the same materials that the rest of the ship is made out of.
Because my thinking is, was this actually a door, or was it like a portal door that is now just a wall behind it? That's my thinking.
Fidget is going to cast clairvoyance.
Okay. So you're gonna take a look behind the other door, right?
I'm going to try to look behind the door.
Okay. So, Fidget, as you're stepping forward to do this, Alar, you're kind of looking outside. The blink pup seems sort of displeased as you're sort of kind of hanging on to it and you're looking around. It's like wiggle worms a little bit in your hands. You know,
Easy. I'm going to head back toward the rest of the party at that point.
Okay. So you kind of like hang on to it as it's like climbing up. Hang on to it. And once you get back indoors, you kind of hold on to it. It's wiggling around. You get to those stairs and begin to head down. Fidget, as you cast your clairvoyance. You guys hear like Alar's footsteps coming back down the stairs, and then you hear a kind of a slight like, and Alar, the blink pup just like disappears out of your hands. And then like 30 feet from you, about like 5-10 feet from where Nula is still standing, it like reappears like 8 inches off the ground and just sort of like flops onto all fours and sort of scrabbles. It takes a second. It can't quite get its. So you see, it's like it's like your dog on the kitchen floor. It takes a second to get traction, and it just sort of like sort of scampers back over to Nula, and it like the blink pup kind of goes up on its hind feet and it's sort of like bapping at your shin.
I will bend over and be like, "Oh, did you miss me? Oh, you missed me, Alar. I thought you were gonna hang on to him."
I was. The pup had other ideas. Also, I'm pretty sure I lost 2 years off of my life when he did that. Okay.
So Fidget, as this is happening behind you, you're kind of blocking it out as you're casting your spell, and this let me clarify on clairvoyance here. It just lets you just get like a sight of what's right behind the door that you're trying to look through.
Yep. I make a sensor that is stuck to the other side of the door.
Okay.
It can see whatever I would be able to see.
Okay. So you cast this spell. It kind of takes you a while to you're setting this up as Alar is making his way back down. You're preparing the spell as he's coming back down the stairs. You're getting ready to cast. You're distracted for a moment as the sound of the like teleporting blink dog goes off. But you finish preparing your clairvoyance spell, and you bring your cloth scrap up over. You pull it over your face to look through it, and your vision projects forward in this sort of blurred rush, and suddenly you are looking at the dim, or I guess the dark. With your dark vision, you are looking at the completely dark space beyond this door that you guys have been trying to pass through. And what you see in there is largely unremarkable. It just appears as if this is essentially like a corridor that goes further towards the front of the vessel. You are able to make out along the sides of this corridor a few other what you take to be like more doors, more passageways. There is one thing that is of interest, and that is on the floor, about 40 feet down the hallway. There is what looks like a... You'd almost call it like a suit of armor. You can just make out the... it has very, like, smooth, rounded features to it. It is roughly the size of, like, a human. So it would fit on a creature that is probably larger than you. You see that it is, like, kind of laying on the ground, and like a part of, like, the gauntlet and one of the shoulders is like a couple of feet away. The rounded kind of like helm piece is a little bit beyond, like, the sort of this, like, combo chest and back piece that you see, as if maybe the creature that was wearing this armor, sort of like died and fell in this position, and then has just been undisturbed since. You get the sense. It's hard to see with your dark vision as it's a little far away, but you get the sense that if whoever was wearing this armor, fell here and died here, their body has long since just disintegrated to nothing but dust and nothingness, leaving only this metal plating of armoring that they were wearing.
Fidget is going to drop to the ground screaming, "No, not that! Anything but that!"
What?
What?
No, it's fine. It's a hallway. There's a suit of armor in there.
There's a suit.
Someone might have died in that hallway. There's a suit of armor there. I couldn't really see much else. There's a couple other doorways. It looks like it goes towards the front of the ship.
Okay.
Fidget.
Did you see anything that looks like a lever or something that might open the door from the other side?
Nope.
Damn.
Question. We have that paint set, right? That paints a hole?
Mm-hmm.
But it's only for us to see through.
It's to look through. It doesn't physically make a hole that you can...
Were you going to paint the entire door with the see-through? So
like Looney Tunes style, she paints a tunnel and then walks through it.
But that's a great point. We can probably use that to see what Fidget saw.
We
How much
could.
of that paint do you have?
That paint set does specify that you're the limit to what you can make invisible to look through is like yay big.
Yeah.
So you can still accomplish the same
Like
thing.
a
So you guys
hole.
can all look into the hallway as well, but it's not like you can paint like a 3-foot diameter hole and just like the effect of the invisibility spell is only yay big.
Walter or Brahm? Do either of you have the ability to Dimension Door or Misty Step right now?
I am burned out of spell slots.
Yes.
Not right now.
I can
Since
take a
we
nap.
leveled up, yes. Because I have an additional 4th level spot. So yes.
Okay.
But you would
So-
not be able to get back out.
Yeah, that's
That's true.
okay.
We need to take a long rest down here in the creepy.
Correct.
I mean, we probably have half a day before anybody else figures out if something changed outside. We probably have about half a day before anybody comes to investigate. But
we probably have more than half a day. We have
Yeah.
hundreds of years of superstition on our side.
Yeah, the locals aren't going to come looking for us. They've most likely assumed, nice of
We're
them to
dead.
help us with our rat problem, but we're a tiger problem. But
It was nice knowing them.
yeah, they're dead. They're probably going to be more spooked when we return. So
I mean, do you guys want to try to nap here? Take a little rest, make this our nice little level camp, and
I'd
How
rather
much do we want that suit of armor?
I'd like to make a further investigation of this place if we could. We're here. this is as secure a place as any. We've got rations. We're all pretty darn beat up. I don't fancy us in our beat up condition trying to get back over that overhang.
Oh, I would need at least a nap to get over that overhang because teleportation.
So let's rest here. We can use the paints to get an eye in there. And Brahm, how many times can you cast Dimension Door?
If we long rest, twice.
Okay, so once in, once out. And how can you bring more than one person with you?
I can bring one of you.
Okay, then
Alar it is, unless you want to do fidget and have him look through whatever other doors are out there.
I also have Misty Step, but I used all my spell slots.
okay.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I have Misty Step.
Okay.
That's horrifying in its own way.
She's
How
had
many
it the
times do
whole
you-
time.
Yeah, how many times can you cast that, Nula?
3.
Okay, so you can get in and out. That's the important
Yeah.
thing.
Can you miss
If I
these
sleep.
through
So,
walls? Or do you
Out
like
of character
nightcrawler
time.
dance over
Out
the
of
wall?
character voice says, no, you cannot go through walls with Misty Step. It's only Dimension Door. Additionally, this is about the point where the DM starts setting fire to his own notes.
Well, I figured you have to be able to see where you're going. So if we do the little paint dot, I can
That's-
see
That's what I'm thinking.
where I'm going.
that's okay. DM, serious
I
question.
actually have to look up whether you can Misty Step through a solid door if you've invisible part of it.
It does specify a space you can see, whereas Dimension Door just says a direction and a distance. So
And you can kind of imagine it. If you can kind of vaguely imagine it, you can.
Well,
I
was
don't
thinking of
see
using the
anything in the rules as written that says you can't teleport to a space that's through a solid object if you've invisible part of it. So
okay, then we'll use the paints, and those of us that can cast Misty Step can look in and use it to get in, and then get out again. Fidget, can you cast Misty Step?
I can tomorrow.
Okay, so we've got the means to get everybody in and everybody out. Not now, but we have the means.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely thought you just said we have the meats.
I have a follow-up
changed
question.
our party name from the Fool's Errand to Arby's, and
Then, okay,
It's just
then we rest here, and after we've rested up, bound our wounds, let's do what the Invarians couldn't. Let's see what's
yeah.
back then.
I have a related follow-up question. Do we believe that a research facility full of Invarian wizards we're not able to figure out? Maybe we can teleport through the door.
Maybe
I
they
mean,
didn't
I'm not
have
saying it's
that
not
kind
worth
of
staying
magic.
overnight to try. I'm just saying, like, maybe we don't want to get our hopes up.
My thought is this: the Blink Dog is having no problem teleporting in this room, which means this room at least is not warded against teleportation. Probably.
I'm just saying, I don't feel like the Invarians are the kind to leave stuff that they found on the other side of that door.
To
There.
be fair, we also watched them piss off some Blink Dogs and cause their own ruin, so I'm not really holding to the highest standard anymore. They were just around before.
Yeah, they may be
Sorry-
highly
sorry,
intelligent,
Alar.
but they're also no. Believe me, I have a little bit of love, a lot of hate relationship with the Invarian Empire and its bastard spawn. They are extremely intelligent, but they are also extraordinarily. We saw that they were extraordinarily arrogant. If they didn't think about it, they might have assumed that nobody would think about it because they didn't think anybody would be out of the box thinking.
I mean, I don't feel like teleporting through the door is especially out of the box, but
We've got
I
nothing.
mean, I'm giving them credit for
what
being
I'm
greedy,
hearing
not,
is
not a
Fidget
whole lot
doesn't
else.
want to go first.
I mean, that's just true by default.
That's all right. I'm
absolutely not
if I
saying
had
we
to
shouldn't sleep
go
here
first
and
myself,
Give it
I
a try.
will.
So we send Walter through. If he dies horribly, we go home.
I have a wife and children, sir. I would strongly prefer not to leave them more fatherless than they already are.
Kind of
I'll
hard
go-
to do. They're already pretty fatherless.
Can I make a history check to see if I have a life insurance policy through trading? Like, is that part of my contract? I don't remember. I don't know.
What that your family
Do I-
gets
do I-
paid if you die?
Yeah, no, probably no.
No, it's like the
opposite.
like the opposite of that. Yeah.
Probably transfers to them.
Where if you die, they're in way more trouble than they already are.
That is yeah. That was more or less what I thought, but
All right, let's.
Walter says no. I have a lot more to lose than just my own life.
Okay, look, let's rest up. We'll gather up the pieces of that device. I've got a sack. We can gather the glass pieces in, so it won't potentially damage the bag. We'll gather up the metal pieces and as much of the sand as possible. We'll stow that in the bag. That we bring back to the Arcane Eye.
Yeah, let's pack everything up.
Pre-Invarian armor, they will be very happy.
I would, especially since this is more apparently more advanced than the Invarian Empire. Folks, if we can get in there and get access to that and anything else in there, we've punched our mentor's ticket into the Ordinum Libri.
Or other things.
I'm
But
gonna
yes.
try one thing
Yes.
before we go for napping.
Yes.
I'm going to attempt to heat the metal of the door.
Okay.
Does it do anything?
Heats up. Kind of a spot in the center of the doorway gets.
Newly, you want to try
glows
hammering it now?
You got this, Newell. I believe in you. Wait, hold on.
Also, bardic inspiration on Nula.
Okay. All right. Make an attack roll.
And I'm going to try to time a frostbite cantrip at the same time she is hammering. If that's acceptable.
Isn't that going to cool the metal down?
That's the idea.
They're about
Really
to
hot
doctor
and
beam
really
the door
cold.
here. All right, come on, let's go. Make the rolls.
So the bardic inspiration, I roll twice.
No,
Take the
you get
highest
to
one?
add a D8 to your.
Ooh,
to your attack.
D8. Okay.
Oh,
All right. So
frostbite's a con save. The door has to make
27.
a con save.
Ah, the door has to make a con save. Let's see. The door rolls a 10, and the door has a plus 400 to its constitution. Sorry, what was your attack roll?
27.
27. Okay, so you guys, a la the 2005 smash hit Fantastic Four, heat up this door and then rapidly attempt to cool it simultaneously in some sort of an attempt to kind of make it brittle, perhaps, as Nula like winds up and swings into this door. You really you get your footing behind you this time, and you're really able to throw your weight into it. So the second time you swing and you hear the reverberation rolls out kind of through the bones of the ship as the sound bounces off of the walls here. The blink dog in response to this flurry of activity, quickly the pup is just and he's he's just blinking excitedly all around the room, kind of nipping at different people's feet.
Nope.
And pull your hammer away, there's sort of this cloud of steamified water vapor in the air from the rapidly heated and cooled space in front of this door from these two spells. And as it cools away, you kind of clear the air with your hand. You go over and you feel a perfectly smooth door frame and door. Unimpressed by puny mortals' attempts with hammers to penetrate its secrets.
All right, so let's take a power nap and not get our hopes up. We'll try to teleport and then leave.
Best we can do. I'd rather not leave
Alright.
this for somebody else to find, especially since we may or may not have killed all the bad guys.
I mean, all we have to do is go back to that village and tell them that it's even more haunted now.
Yeah, it's
I like the way you
double
think.
haunted.
Double haunted.
Guardland's haunted. What? Guardland's haunted.
I like the idea that these guys just come back to the village. They're just like hooking up their cart, not talking to anybody. And the villagers like, "What happened? What did you see?" They're just like, "Haunted." What? Haunted? And then you just like crack the whip and ride off.
That's the plan.
All right, so you guys are taking a rest. You setting up watches as you're taking your nightly rest.
Oh, most definitely.
Alrighty. Okay, so what is the order of your rest and your watches?
Second.
I
Third.
will.
People want fidget.
I'll go. If I go first, can I do a watch and Song of Rest at the same time?
Isn't Song of Rest during a short rest?
I don't know.
I thought that was a short rest
So-
thing that gets you extra hit dice.
So I can take second watch because I can use first watch to short rest. I mean, I'd rather long rest, but it's
Why
like
don't we all long rest? That way we're
Yeah, it is during a short rest, but
while we're
does
at,
anybody actually even need it?
It's not
by the
gonna.
way?
If you're taking a long rest, it will not benefit anybody because all of your hit
Okay.
points will be restored anyway.
Yeah. We'll just long rest.
Okay, so I've gained no information from
Alright, first
what,
watch.
who's taking
Yeah.
what
I'll have
watches.
the first watch.
Brom has first watch. Nula has second.
I'll take third.
Alar has third.
I'll take fourth watch with
Walter has
fidget.
fourth watch, and Fidget is with him. Okay.
That's fine. That seems
Alrighty.
fine.
As you guys spend the next 8 hours sort of sleeping, resting, binding your wounds, is anybody having any conversations with each other? Are you guys doing anything?
Does anyone have a stick?
Actually, I do.
Could I use it?
Oh wait, no, that's not a stick. Sorry, it's my shovel.
I didn't know where that was going until he said no.
Got some embalming tools.
Best I got is a spare ink pen.
Mm,
You could use a portion of rope, make a rope toy.
all right, we'll do that. And I'm just like throwing the toy. Fetch!
And the blink dog basically stands in front of you, like, and as soon as you throw it, it like, and then it goes poof, poof, and reappears wherever it landed, grabs it, and then poof, teleports back in front of you with it.
Good job, Blinky!
Is it? Did you name
You're
it?
not allowed to name the dog Blinky.
It's illegal. It's actually illegal here in Honor End.
Why not?
I don't
Whoa.
make the laws.
Whoa. Let Nula have this.
Yeah, fine.
Come on. She earned this. She earned this.
That's fair.
She's literally saved our lives by convincing Mama Dog not to murder us all.
Yeah, that's fair.
Blinky!
So as you hold Blinky up, and you gotta look, you realize Blinky's a girl.
Blinkette.
So that's Blinky with an
I'm
eye
gonna
on
misty
the end.
step into the cavern. I'm just gonna misty step myself into the cavern now. Bye.
You spell it with an I on the end. That is guaranteeing the dog grows up.
Where
to
does
be
the
a-
extra silent A go in Blinky?
I thought it was a silent Q.
The I is dotted with an A.
If Walter is Alar's going to spend time comparing his notes with Walter's to see if there's anything that he missed while frantically scribbling stuff.
Yeah, normalize the teleportation circle, especially. Make sure we covered it correct. Maybe spend a little bit of time reorienting everything.
Yeah, I'm also trying to draw from memory what the device looked like in my notes. And I'm full on giddy as a schoolboy as I'm doing this.
All right. Anybody else doing anything over your downtime? Mila's throwing rope toy for Blinky with an eye.
Did anybody have any visions of that had writing in it? Maybe you could try to recreate it to your best of your ability, and I can translate so you could possibly see if there's any writing we can glean from those time visions. I did not do well during those, so
The only writing that I recall seeing is writing that we all saw anyway. The markings on top of a few of the doorways. So that's Invarian. So we can I on the way out, if I didn't, pretty sure I scribbled down what they look like. But on the way out, we'll make sure to make copies of them because
like a rubbing or something.
yes.
What was
Unfortunately,
the last?
everything looks like common at this point.
What was the last or the second to last one before we came in here? The ship.
The second to last, the last one that we saw before we went down here was
The earthquake, yeah.
Yeah, the earthquake,
By
and
the crane.
yeah,
By the crane.
the
So
one,
I guess there wasn't any writing around the crane.
no.
I was conscious for that one, but not many people were.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that most people were unconscious for.
Yeah. I don't. There may have been writing when the head researcher announced Zilarax's destruction of the capital city. They were gathered together, but I didn't get a good look.
I don't recall that one. I must not have been in the room. Oh no, was I in the room? I think so, but it's a very confusing time. It messed with my head quite a bit.
Because there were also the trolls in that one. Right?
You mean orcs?
Orcs.
Yeah.
Apologize to Brom, please.
Sorry.
I'm just picturing Rom waking up and going, "What?"
Yeah, Rob's asleep, but for the tent, you just hear.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, thank you all for surviving this so far.
We're not out yet. Let's
Quite the story.
no. Let's
wait and see if
finish
someone
this up.
dies when we try to teleport before we congratulate ourselves.
All right, Fidget. I accept that line of logic.
All right. So, you guys pass a quiet night. None of your watches are interrupted. The only real sounds are sort of the occasional distant echoing of like a drip of water from somewhere in the cavernous space outside of the vessel that you're in. You do become aware, Walter, what you sort of were not really able to quite pick up on at first when you had asked that question the first time. But as you guys spend some time sort of just resting and collecting yourselves down in this vessel, you become aware that while the air down here is still sort of stale and damp and old from hundreds upon hundreds of years of just abandonment underground, that indescribable offness, that sort of background static that had been in the air that you started first noticing when you got within the vicinity of the Scarred Lands on the surface world, that you've sort of been attributing to this weird time damage to sort of like time itself in the area, does seem to have dissipated along with the destruction of the device. You get the sense that whatever energy field was encompassing this underground research facility and spreading out to that several hundred yards out into sort of that valley and region outside that the locals had referred to as the Scarred Lands themselves seems now to be gone. And it actually allows you guys to get a much more restful night of sleep than even you were thinking. Even though you're not in the most comfortable of situations, you're still sleeping on your bed rolls inside tents if you've constructed them inside this vessel. Just the absence of that background negative energy is like breathing a huge sigh of relief. And so as you take your long rest, you pass through your various watches, waking each other up as it's time. By the time you reach your morning, or your end of your 8-hour long rest, and start everyone rousing, getting ready to start your day, your level up does take effect. You guys have increased in power.
Demonetized.
So, freshly rested, recovered, recuperated, exhilarated, feeling stronger, more experienced, more reckless than you were before. The day is yours.
Okay, I will make use of the paints and paint a small circle about yay big.
And you can all look. Those of you with dark vision, anyway, you can look and you can see into this hallway. And you see that same, about 40 feet down, figure of metal plates and armored pieces laying on the ground.
All right.
Do we want to make sure that there's no evil presence or undead from this armor first?
Can I
You
try
probably
something?
can't through the door.
Can I try something real fast?
Sure.
Take a look through the hole, and I'm gonna try to cast dancing lights on the other side of it.
I don't see why that wouldn't work if it's the same
Yeah, it
stipulation
says
that you
within
just wouldn't be able to see.
range. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just try to like light it up on the other
Your
side.
dancing lights illuminate the corridor, and you can kind of see more clearly. There definitely are more, openings.
Lights up all the ghosts.
We're waking them up on the other side of the wall.
And you can get a better look at that, that armor on the ground. It is sort of a there's definitely like a thick layer of like dust has settled onto it, and there's sort of like fluffy brownish dust of just eons of inactivity sort of covers it, masking a good portion of like the fine details. You get the impression that it is probably sort of like a the word I want to use is gunmetal, but I feel like that's historically inaccurate. But it is sort of like a gunmetal gray coloring to all of this plating that makes it up. And other than that, the hallway is still sort of featureless as far as you can tell.
All right. Rochambeau, you for it?
Because we sure you don't want me to check? It won't use a spell slot.
Go for it, Nula.
All right, I'll do Divine Sense.
Okay.
As an action, you can detect good and evil until the end of your next turn, sense anything affected by the Hallow spell, or know the location of any celestial fiend undead within 60 feet that is not behind total cover.
Yep. So you close your eyes. You focus your senses on the natural auras of good and evil that you have been taught to sense around you. You don't really feel anything except just kind of the empty echo of this long abandoned place. There are no fiends, nothing evil piques your divine senses. You feel pretty comfortable that, at least within, as far out as you're able to extend your sense, nothing lurks waiting for you.
Okay. There's no evil, but there is a good boy.
As soon as she says "good boy," I'm going to Misty step to the other side of that wall.
All right. So, Walter.
Or I'm going to try to.
Cloud of vaporous smoke envelops Walter. He disappears. And you find yourself standing in the corridor beyond the wall.
I peer through the... He made it! He made it!
I'm going to yell back at them and ask the lady, like, "Hey, can you guys hear me at all?"
I think.
No sound comes through. You can't hear him.
I think you're muted, Walter.
I'm gonna cast. I'm gonna look through the peephole real fast, and then I'm gonna cast message at Alar, who was on the other side.
Okay.
And ask and say, "Hey, can you hear me at all?"
Can I hear him now?
You can hear him now.
Okay.
All right.
Now I can hear you. I didn't hear anything before.
Outstanding. Well, write that down, because if I die, that's things we're gonna need to know. I'm gonna keep casting message to talk.
Okay.
Because it's gonna cut in and out every so often. It's
Okay. We know Misty Step works, so back up. I'm gonna have Brahm look through, and then he's gonna bring the two of us over.
Do
He
we
doesn't have to see
all?
it.
He doesn't. He doesn't have to see. I'm gonna go over towards probably make. How far was the armor?
About 40 feet.
I'm gonna go about 20 feet away.
Okay.
Just to get out of the way. And then that way, wherever they pop in doesn't really matter.
I'm gonna clear the way so Brahm can see exactly where he's wants to put the two of us down.
I'm gonna go ahead and cast Dimension Door.
Alrighty.
Hang on to him for dear life.
You grab onto Alar. Cast Dimension Door. And from your side, you kind of look through the peephole, and then thin sort of strip of purplish light just top to bottom, and then widens, making an opening that you then step through with Alar. And on the other side, secondary one of these two-dimensional purplish doors just opens up, and you guys step out on the other side, also in the hallway with Walter.
It worked!
You know we can leave him here, right?
Yeah, it worked. You can stop holding my hand now.
Sorry. I immediately look down. Are there, besides Walter's footprints, any other sign of this hallway being disturbed?
Not in the last several thousand years, probably.
They didn't make it in. Look. There's no footprints besides ours.
Brahm, stop drawing dicks in the dust. I see your mage hand.
I don't have
Oh, you
mage hand.
Oh, okay.
We
Fidget,
need the
you ready?
Emporians in here, guys!
Doesn't mean I wasn't doing
That's how I'm going to be.
All right,
All right.
let's clear the way for.
I'm gonna cast message and tell Nula and Fidget that we're good and moving.
All right.
So
You wanna go
basically
first,
I'm
Fidget?
gonna use this as a walkie-talkie. Do you guys want? Yeah, screw it. We'll come in. It's fine. Save your spell slots. All clear.
All right.
Okay, I'm coming.
I use Misty Step,
Alrighty. So
and I have the Blink Dog.
okay.
Can
But-
she
I don't
bring
think
the
you can
blink
Misty
dog with
Step
her?
with the blink dog.
Yeah, it's
You
just
cannot.
But the blink dog will.
We'll know where she went.
That's. a
I
good
hold
question.
up the Blink Dog. Look, Mommy's gonna go on that side.
This is going to be interesting.
All right, so and then you Misty Step.
Yeah.
All right,
Yep.
so Nula Misty Steps. Nula, you safely appear inside the hallway. Fidget, the blink pup kind of like looks at you as if to say, like, what do we do now? Wags its tail a little.
I'm gonna tell it to stay.
Okay.
Can I do some kind of like animal handling thing?
Yeah,
to
what
get
are
it
you
to be
doing?
cool?
And then make an animal handling check. So you just go,
It's
stay.
like just stay here.
Dog high
It'll be
five.
fine. I'm gonna dump a bunch of food on the ground.
Okay, make an animal handling check.
21.
You go, stay. And the blink dog goes and just sits down.
I like you more now. I'm gonna Misty Step into the room.
Okay. You disappear. You reappear. You are now all in the corridor.
Where's
I'm-
Blinky?
I told him to stay because he looks confused.
Okay, let's be quick. I need to get back.
Alar's already making a beeline toward the suit of armor.
I mean, to be fair, Blinky's been waiting here for a couple thousand years. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, but he could blink and go anywhere, and then he'd be lost. And then we'd have to find him.
He's a girl.
We'd have to find her.
5 minutes.
We have tenuous respect for
Oh, gender.
gender pronouns. In
No,
this D&D game.
that's just Becca not remembering names or genders.
Nope.
Have you seen Corey or this blinking dog?
All of her friends have to have names that end in I. Got
Oh,
Tori,
yes.
got Blinky.
So about that armor.
So you're heading over to that. Go ahead and make an investigation check.
28.
A couple of things strike you as odd as you start looking over this thing. Primarily is the fact that it doesn't look as much like it's a suit of armor when you start looking over it. The plating, sort of, what you took as bracers and gauntlets and pauldrons and a chest piece. None of that, were it to be armor, that would be worn over a body. None of that is hollow and contoured, as if to be put on someone's form. What you're looking at as you carefully go over it and ever so slightly move it just a bit, being delicate not to damage it in any way, turns out to be you don't really have a word for it. It's solid. It's one thing, except for where it's been broken. The helmet or head, perhaps, removed. The one arm below the elbow detached. At these points, you see, so coming from the chest piece up to where you see the helm or the head lays, a few feet away, you see kind of down into it, it is solid and it is internally just this complex intertwining of materials you couldn't even begin to describe. And almost sticking up along the back, jutting just a bit out, is what you would almost call a likeness of vertebra. Similarly, as you look at the helm, you kind of look, it's not hollow, as if to be put over somebody's head. It is likewise solid underneath. More plating, a mass of what look like connections and these complicated mechanical pieces. The entire thing looks as if it was one construct of some sort.
Guys,
Far beyond your comprehension.
this isn't armor. This... I almost want to say it's not a living thing, but it's like one.
Is it like a golem?
More advanced than any golem.
That is a decent term to throw at it, for lack of a better understanding of what it is.
Yeah, it's got something that looks kind of like a spine, where the neck and the head got separated, and there's
head. It's not a helmet.
That's a head.
So as you're looking at this head, it is rounded at the front. The top is sort of, kind of smooth, as if it had been like a bucket helmet. As you sort of look at the front of it, you see that it has what, as it had been laying, had been easily mistaken for like a faceplate on a helm that would slip. Almost turns out to just look like an articulated jaw attached to the front of it that would potentially move. And it has, instead of openings for someone to look out, it has these two circular, they're dim and dark, but these circular lenses that you can just see sort of have a similar irising lens to them.
So as soon as he said head, Walter's gonna down one of those comprehend languages potions.
Yep.
Crack his knuckles and run over, and I think I know what to do, Alar. Give it a try anyway. I'm gonna try to cast Speak with Dead on the head.
Let's see.
If it fails, I just need to take a quick nap in this stuffy corridor.
I mean, that better than any idea I've got.
Is that going to work on somebody who's been dead for thousands of years?
To the best of my knowledge, just needs a mouth.
Okay. You cast this spell, Walter. You close your eyes and you reach for your magic. And you look through the fabric of reality towards the bonds that tie souls in life and death to this plane and the beyond. And you seek out, as you have done before, a thread of connection between this physical form and a soul that would once have inhabited it, so that you can grasp onto it and pull back through the nether, temporarily reanimating a simulacrum of what this creature may have been in life. And after a few moments go by, it's like trying to see something that is just a floater at the corner of your vision, a little piece of dust or something that's in your eye. Every time you try to focus on it, every time you try to grasp onto the thread of a spirit, it seems to elude you. And after a few moments of trying, you have to accept that either this was not a living being at some point, or something is blocking you from being able to recall a semblance of a soul, of a spirit into it to talk to. You're unable to speak with whatever this entity is.
Unfortunately, it's not. I'm gonna like pick up the head and just like kind of wiggle it where the jaw would be. Like, it should work, but I mean, it's
If it's a construct, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it is. Maybe it is a golem.
yeah. I mean, it's
Whatever it is, let's bring the head back. If we can't get that door open from
that
this
is already in my bag. I don't know what you're talking about.
Fair enough.
But yes.
The other passageways in this corridor are open.
No, sealed. Everything's sealed.
Is it easy to just remove the head of the thing, or is it all?
It's already off,
detached.
I think.
Okay.
All right.
How many other
anything
doors are
else
there?
on the body of the construct? Any adornments, clothing, weapons, anything of that nature?
Nothing like that.
Any insignia? I will carefully turn over the body so it's.
As you kind of move it, you see there is no. There's nothing that you would describe as an insignia or runage that can be read or interpreted. Definitely, a lot of this plating has like, kind of decorative patterning worked into it, but it's nothing that you are able to interpret, as having any particular meaning or language or syntax or anything like that behind it. It just appears to be like decorative.
Okay. And there's no sign of any levers or something to activate the doors there, and they're all the same kind of flat.
Yep.
You said the arm/hand is broken off.
One of the but like at the elbow, one of the arms is also like.
I'm gonna
detached.
grab that, and I'm gonna see if like pressing it against any of the door-looking shapes does anything.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of just you walk around, you put the hand to some of the doors to see if perhaps
just like
contact causes any any reaction. And you don't find any response from any of the doors in this hallway. Fidget, to your question, there are so the hallway goes on beyond where this golem is, goes on about another 10 feet before it ends in a like a flat door, and then along the length of the roughly 50-foot hallway, which based on your sort of knowledge from the outside, you're not sure how much further this thing goes forward, but you have a feeling it probably runs a good length of like the vessel. You see there are another on each side there are 3 doors apiece.
Do you want to? Oh, I need to take a breather for a little bit to regain my ability to cast, so I'm going to short rest while everybody else is doing stuff.
Well, there's not much for me to do. I only have one spot to get out of here, and that's it.
Yeah, let's not waste that. Besides, these pieces here, that's further than anybody else got, and we can relay that information to our mentors and to whomever comes after us.
I can go exploring.
What do you mean exploring?
I have lots of spells.
All right. Well, Fidget,
you'd be doing Fidget. You'd be on your own. We wouldn't be able to come and help. Maybe we could come and help, but some of us could. Are you? Do you want to risk that?
I mean, in general, I think I'm a little bit more careful than most of us. So,
I'm like laying down, just like comfy. It's just like just thump.
Flash got the fidget just on fire.
Yeah,
You're a
as he's
little
going,
more careful than most of us.
yeah,
Do you know message?
Nope.
Oh boy.
Okay, bye.
Well, he's dead.
let's. Okay. Uh,
I'm just gonna short rest. So let me know when that time is up. Matt.
What's your plan here, Fidget? You're
Can I
procuring
have
the
the paints,
invisible
please?
paint, and then you're gonna start bamfing through some doors.
Can I have the paints, please?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go towards the front of the ship, I guess.
Okay. So let's, for the sake of time, let's figure out like what I guess your capability is here, and rather than like force you to like pick doors at a time based on like a map that I don't have for you, how many poofs through doors are you able to do here before you have to like stop and regroup?
I have a total of 9.
Okay.
So his plan would roughly be to use the paints to look through each door, and is looking for like an interesting door with a bunch of stuff it looks like he can grab.
Okay. I think you have more than enough. You have more than enough spell slots at your beck and call here to pretty much find everything that there is to be found on this ship. So go ahead and make.
I'm going to give you the bag of holding too.
Okay. Go ahead and make an investigation check for me.
That is a 21.
Okay. So, Fidget, on your expedition, here is what you're able to determine. So, in the hallway that you start off in, as you start painting peepholes onto these various openings, the doors that are leading to the exterior of the vessel. So like the ones on your one side that are towards the outside of the ship. As you look through them, you actually find yourself staring into a small, like vaguely hexagonal chamber that is actually open. It's just like you basically look through the door, and then like there's like 5 foot of chamber, and then you just see like cave abyss beyond, as if almost as if something was like taken out of this space, or as if it's like a hole in the side of the vessel for some reason. It would be sort of further to the bow of the ship, and like they angled downward, which, so like when Alar was looking out kind of at the side, what he was able to see from up above, they weren't really visible from there, but like down below you can kind of see where these openings were. So that's what you see on the outsides. As you look on the inside, the inner doors, you just see what look like empty chambers. There are more of those like protrusions from like the floors and walls, where it looks like the features of these various chambers were almost organically formed out of the very material of the ship itself. And as you head towards that front door at the very far end of the hallway, that one is like the first one that looks like it's worth teleporting through. As you look through it, you see that there is a chamber beyond that goes off sort of to your left, and you can just, as you like crane around, you can see what looks like another set of stairs leading deeper into the bowels of the ship. As you repeat this process, looking through doors, going into places that look interesting, you come across essentially a vessel that looks like it has been emptied out, or that anything in here has long since disintegrated to the ravages of time. There is really nothing that you see in here that looks like it's worth, like, shoveling into your bag, or really of much note just from, like, looking at it, until you reach a chamber that you vaguely would gauge to be, like, at the very, like, center of the length of the ship, and about another deck below where you guys fought the monster and the time device was set up. You make your way through a door in here, and you find yourself in a sort of a circular chamber. And in this chamber, there is just a catwalk that leads about 10 feet out and then splits into, like, a circular, like, O-shaped pattern. The chamber continues about another 10 feet up above and about another 10 feet below this catwalk. So it actually, like, cuts into some of the other, like, this spans a couple of decks. And you walk up to the edge of that ring, and as you look down, you can see that on the floor of this chamber, there is probably a 10-foot tall, 10-15 foot in diameter, what you gauge to be a deep ruby red gem of some sort, or crystal. It appears, it's not been, like, cut and faceted, it is almost like appears raw. But this large, like, deep red crystal just sits inert on the floor of this chamber. And that is what you find as you make your way about the vessel.
Can I cast Detect Magic on the giant crystal?
You can, and it is devoid of magic. If it ever possessed any, it is long since gone.
I will cast Light on the crystal.
You cast light on the crystal. It illuminates. You can clearly see that it is a deep crimson red. The the interior of it is imperfect. It's not, like, completely translucent as a polished cut gemstone would be. This appears to be some sort of a just naturally occurring, like, massive crystalline hunk.
Great. I will take that information back to the group.
He does that.
So, like, I'll burn all my spells. It will just poof back into existence.
Ah,
I told you he
you
wasn't.
didn't die.
I have returned.
How are we sure it's really him, though?
I mean, he just teleported back and said, "I have returned." That's a pretty fidget thing to do.
Yeah. What'd you find?
Well, I think most organic things here have decomposed over the last long time. How long did we say? I wasn't really. Time
About,
is not
A
really
long
something I'm
time.
really good at.
about 2,000 years at least.
Yeah, so that's probably long enough for most organic things to have decomposed, I guess, because there really aren't. Uh,
Did you see any more of these? I mean, points down to the construct.
nope.
Okay.
Lots of empty rooms. Uh, none of the rooms look like they were made the way that we make rooms. I mean, I don't make rooms, but they don't look like they were like fashioned out of individual parts. They also look like they were one cohesive thing. So that's kind of weird. Um, there was a giant crystal, like really big, like really really big.
Like the size of a fist, or
I put my head so it's just above Nula's horns. That big?
How big is the crystal? Say when.
Fidget just doesn't say when.
Okay. It's bigger than Nula.
It's probably like 2 Nulas tall and 2 or 3 Nulas wide.
It's not gonna fit in the bag of holding.
No, that's not going to fit in the bag of holding it at all. Were there any pieces of it that you recovered?
I mean, I didn't break it. I can do that. We can rest and I can go break it.
we
try
can
to
do
break
that
it.
tomorrow.
I like breaking things.
Yeah.
I don't think we should break it.
I'm a little bit worried what might happen if you break it as well.
Did you find any magic items, or was anything magical anywhere nearby?
No, I did not.
So the enormous crystal was not magical in nature. It was just a giant crystal.
I detected magic and everything.
It's just expensive.
I don't. Call me greedy, but I really don't want to tell the wizards about this because I kind of want all this for ourselves. But they might know what to do with it. So
if we find them several tens of thousands of gold worth of stuff, presumably we get a piece of that, right? They pay us for things. This is what they pay you to do.
yeah,
they'll pay us an agreed upon sum, and anything that we the stuff that we find, some of it is ours to keep.
Like that.
I don't think they're gonna agree to a house-sized crystal.
That's just a giant crystal. It's not magic or anything. Why do they need it?
It's not magical that we know of.
Wouldn't we
I
need them?
detected magic.
Wouldn't we need them to help move it?
Wait a minute. I pull out the gem from the lifting unit.
Mhm.
Does it? Is it a similar color? Not that I expect it to be, but
Oh, as he shows it to you, sort of, but you don't get the impression that they are made of the same material.
okay. I didn't think it would be that simple. On the one hand, I would like to bring a part of it back because there's no way we're hauling the whole thing out.
It's going to take. It might take me a full day to pop through things because I can recover after about an hour, but it's going to take a long time to get in there and then back out again. Fidget, can you draw like a rough map of the where you popped through and what you saw? And then
I sure could try, but I will not guarantee its accuracy. I am not good at directions.
Okay. I will give him a page out of my book and some ink and an ink pen. Do your best.
do you have to make make Fidget make a performance check to see like how accurate our directions are before the wizards teleport through
I feel
things.
like really that's up to Carlos on how good his directions are.
Well, not all of us can teleport there anyway.
What is your goal here? Just so I'm following along. Like, you're gonna spend a day goofing around to get into the place where this gem is. What is your plan once you get there, Walter?
So if I were to take a day to do it, well, the initial plan is to, if we're not going to do that, I want to have clear directions to give to the wizards, to be like, hey, this is what's going on. Here's what Fidget found. If we're gonna let me like save scum, then I will be basically doing my best to chip off a piece of the ruby or whatever it is, and possibly look around for damaged pieces so I don't have to break off any parts myself. Just to get pieces of it. With the goal of like just getting the material or some amount of the material off of this, and also documenting it more directly.
Okay. So our goal is
I'd like to
break the mysterious object that we don't know what it is.
Well, then I don't want to break. I don't want to break it. I want to acquire a sample of it, which is the scientific route, and not
that's
just
fine.
sheer destruction. So it's pretty much A or B. We can call it here, or I can save scum to victory. So teleport back to the wizards with our report, and hope that Henrietta makes it back, or just outright walk out and leave, and tell terrible stories about how haunted this place is, so nobody else bothers it for another generation.
I think we should walk back so that we can get the horse and cart, and we have Fidget's war horse.
Yeah.
I thought the goal was to leave as much of this untouched as possible. We couldn't bring it back in one piece. We already have one broken thing to bring back to them.
Yeah. Since there weren't, since you didn't see any flaked pieces of that gem, let's leave it for either our mentor or the Libra. Maybe it'll be us coming back here. I don't know.
Have they ever cared about any of the non-magic stuff you found? Or is that just yours?
Not magical or not, this place is an artifact of obscene value. The fact that we can't damage this metal is insane.
Also, the fact that it's still intact after 2,000 years of sitting in a damn cave.
Probably a little longer than that.
And it's not magical.
I mean,
Okay, I gotta go back to Blinky.
All right, let's
I feel like we'll make out okay.
get out of here.
I'm gonna basically, as I'm did I have enough of a long rest or short rest to get my spell slot back so I can leave?
Yeah.
Or do I have to
it probably,
nap?
It probably took him 30, 40 minutes of carefully searching around. Okay, so you guys head back out. Nula, when you Misty step back through the first door there, you find your blink pup is peacefully laying. Her stomach is out to here. She ate all the food that Fidget left. She scarfed it down and is now in a puppy food coma.
Right.
She kind of looks up at you as you come in. She's the long sort of blink dogs have kind of a longish sort of forked, almost like a cartoon devil type of tail. So it kind of looks at you. The tail gives one sort of thump.
You're a good puppy.
Stretches. The rest of you follow suit, teleporting and dimension dooring back out. you have the head and the arm from that thing, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The pieces that were broken off the main body.
Okay. Alrighty. Cool. So, the plan at this point is topside and then start the journey back?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well then, what we will do here is we will maybe at some point in the future I'll star wipe in a travel montage.
I was just gonna say travel montage, really excited, but like
Yes, you travel montage. You're able to retrieve Henrietta and Noodle 1. When you return topside and climb your way back out of the facility here, you see that what was dead and gnarled is still dead and gnarled. The wrongness of the air is gone, and those sort of strange time morphed birds and lizards and things that you had seen no longer seem to be here. You get the impression that, given enough time, likely this area will heal now.
I'd like to seal the doors behind us as we go.
Sure, yeah, that's no problem. It basically takes a little bit of kind of like jostling with the crowbar, till eventually they sort of like and slam shut again behind you. So you're able to seal everything back behind you, make your way up the way you came, and you leave. Your journey would take you back past Malatka village. I don't know if you have any intention of doing anything back in Malatka, anything with your two lycanthropes.
I want to confirm with them that time passed as we expected it to.
Yeah, you've been gone for a few days, by their estimation, which is about how long you were gone.
Okay, I just want to make sure we didn't like.
They are very they're like. There is a general sense of surprise that you are back and alive.
How long are we gone? It's haunted.
There are definitely questions of the monsters and the demons and the evil spirits that you encounter there. I don't know how cagey you are about answering or sort of what what information you are providing to.
We tell them exactly how bad it is, and not that it's better.
Yeah.
We will definitely recount our struggles with the shadow monsters and the blink dog kept coming back, and just fail to mention that that's all gone now.
Lycanthropes, you leaving them here, or are you trying to take them with you? There was some discussion of trying to bring them back with you.
I would like to return with them.
Okay.
Do we want to leave them here and not bring them to a densely populated city?
Yeah, I would say not.
We can probably teleport back here with that teleportation circle if we can find people that can help them. We should probably find the help first.
I'm going to hold up the teleportation scroll. I think this is bound to the wizards.
Yeah, but there's a circle in that place.
I mean, we can certainly try to get back to there, but I don't know if it's going to be compatible with our magic system.
We also don't know whether it's possible to cure this.
At least as far as the teleportation circle goes, as far as you are aware, that now that you have that rune signature, essentially the astral coordinates or whatever you want to call them for that space, somebody with the adequate means to teleport, to use that spell, who has those coordinates, can teleport to that location.
So let's make sure that the village thinks they can handle them for, I don't know, another couple months maybe. And once we find the means to resolve it, we'll teleport back.
Seems a good idea.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I am nothing if not reasonable.
They have their big old pit cages that you guys made for them. They're well equipped to seal these two away during the full moon. The people of the village, though friendlier towards you than they were initially, are definitely you can tell they kind of shoo you out of the village. They seem to be eager to have you gone now that you have like been to the Scarred Lands and come back, you definitely get the sense that they're like
Now they're thinking
they think there's probably like evil spirits following you guys and stuff, so they want you gone.
so we're going.
They're happy.
Place
to
is
send you on
haunted.
your
We're
way.
going. You're haunted. So, and we're like, okay, we're gone.
They do give you, they supply you with rations and things like that to carry you through your journey. And the next roughly month, it's not quite a month, but you make the journey in reverse that you had just made. You travel up northward. Out of Honorand, back across the border into Mithlinday via Wolfmaw Village, traveling further and further north towards the city of Ald, I believe is where you...
Yeah, Ald.
Yeah, the city of Ald, where you had teleported from. And there are some minor adventures to be had along the way, perhaps to be explored in like one-shots or something in the future. But for our purposes now, you guys make your journey safe and sound further northward, eventually reaching Ald, securing yourselves a teleport, and teleporting yourselves back to Niveria. So we will pick you up here as you arrive in Niveria and are preparing to make your way back to 28 Dorset, the salon and the apartments of the collective of the Arcane Eye, your wizardly employers.
We established lodgings for Nula 1 and Henrietta again, as well as a cart.
Fidget did spend the entire trip trying to get the Blink Dog to respond to Nula.
The Blink Dog, by the way, over the course of this, is now about twice the size it was when you found it, and definitely looks as if it has some growing to do. It's about 30 pounds at this point. Quite rambunctious. She is quite friendly and enamored with all of you, though Nula, and she's definitely a mama's girl. Nula is her person. So Fidget continually tries to call the Blink Dog Nula. Nula, you're sticking with Blinky.
Blinky.
Okay, so you stick with Blinky. Fidget, the Blink Dog. So she definitely responds to you when you refer to her as Nula. She also responds to Blinky. She also responds to pretty much anything else that you guys use to beckon her. You begin to really see the beginnings of this is a creature that is far more intelligent than a dog.
So at no point during our trip did it eat its own poop?
No.
Outstanding. I like this dog already.
Also, did it attempt to eat either Walter's or Alar's familiar?
No, as long as Nula's keeping it fairly, keeps it fairly well fed. It also is able to pretty effectively hunt.
Okay.
It takes a little while getting her legs under her, kind of learning the ropes on her own, but towards the end of your journey, Blinky / Nula 3 has pretty much got down the technique of stalking up within 30 feet of a rabbit or whatever, and then just poof, teleporting onto it. So Nula 3 / Blinky has no issues gaining sustenance for herself, and she definitely seems to understand the concept that Morgan and Scooter are part of the group. So you guys return with your
Oh, good.
dog.
Friends.
So, One more pet for Brahm, and we need a pet adventure going.
Yeah.
Pet/familiar adventure.
All right, so you're back at 28 Dorset.
The door closes, and if they are there, ALR just kind of goes, sits down in the sitting room. Holy insert draconic curse word here.
I'm pretty sure Walter will also like open the door as soon as it closes. It's like it's literally the exact same thing, probably at the same like holy, just like sit down and then just like 1,000-yard stare at the fireplace for a little bit.
Stanfield
I'm like,
quickly bustles
we got
in.
a puppy!
The puppy, which at this point is like larger than Fidget, like holding it up. Stanfield comes from the direction of the kitchen down the hallway as you guys enter. He's, oh, you've returned. How wonderful! And he kind of sees you hold up the. Oh my! Oh dear!
You're gonna need a deal with the local butcher, or farmer,
Well,
or orphanage.
slow look at Walter. Orphanage?
To play with the dog. What are you talking about?
Ugh.
So you guys settle in. He bustles back. He says, "1 moment, let me return." Is this what Stanfield's voice sounded like? It's been like ages.
A little more aged, but definitely that kind of bustly.
Oh dear, I don't remember
Yeah.
Stanfield's voice. This was it, I
That's
think.
better.
He
Pretend to
bustles.
do a jig in your head, and that's what he said.
Oh, Stanfield! Oh my! I was dusting, sir. Yes, that's it. I've got it now. He goes back to the kitchen and he prepares a tray of coffee and biscuits. He brings out. He says, "Here, sit. Lady Namara and Colin have taken a trip and are expected to be away from the apartments for a few days, but Master Demios is upstairs. I shall fetch him immediately."
Please.
He kind of sets the tray down. Nearly, he like looks at you and gestures at a specific, like he like nods towards a specific cup, which when you take it, you realize that as opposed to the coffees that everybody else has, yours is a cup of hot chocolate. And
I gratefully sip the coffee and go, "This is the greatest magic ever created."
I feel like Morgan and Scooter are like smoking a cigarette and like just PTSDing like in the corner.
Oh, yeah, they're just Scooter is just fluffed out on the couch beside ALR.
Stanfield gets to the doorway of the parlor as he's preparing to go upstairs to get Demios, and he turns back and he looks Nula at you, and he says, "Now, Miss Nula, I shall fetch Master Demios so that you can report on your adventures, but don't think you and I are not going to have a long talk about the responsibilities of caring for a pet if it's going to live in this household."
Yeah, Stanfield? Do you think it's possible for us to get a stable?
I'm not sure why.
I'm behind Fidget, going,
He sort of shakes his head and leaves the room. He goes upstairs, and a few moments later, you hear paired footsteps comes down the stairs. Stanfield goes back towards the kitchen, and Demios walks into the parlor. He kind of does a quick survey, taking stock, making sure everybody who left has returned in one piece. He kind of gives a sort of a sigh of relief immediately, and then sees the blink dog. And he like freezes for a moment.
Yeah, that's not the worst part.
He goes and he settles himself down in his usual chair, steeples his finger and looks at you. And he says,
break out my... I'm sorry, go ahead.
He says, "Judging by the rather wide-eyed appearances of your faces, I would say you have something interesting to report.
I break out my book. I shuffle through to the proper page that has the teleportation coordinates. How about a Invarian research station with teleportation coordinates to same? And I hand him the book open to that page.
He takes the book and he looks at it. He's quiet for about a minute. And he goes, closes it, sets it down. What?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Dibios, I'm just gonna pull out the golem head. This was what was inside the thing that the Invarians were researching.
He looks at that and he goes, all right. I suggest you rest, have a bath if you wish. Otherwise, make yourselves leisurely. I have a message to send.
Wait, I'll give you a hand. I'm gonna give him the arm.
He says. He does not seem to the beauty of your joke does not seem to phase through his like incredulous his incredulous nature, and he says, "I have a call to make. This is well. We're in a whole new league now, my friends." And he stands up and leaves the room, and that is the end of book 1.
Whew.
So,
as he gets up, I'm yelling after him, "It's Blinky with an I and an A!"
alrighty. So, thank you guys for sticking with us thus far. I want to take a quick break. I have to get up and take care of a couple things myself, give these guys a chance to refill their water and everything else. So, bear with us for about 5 minutes. Enjoy our sweet mid-roll ads, and we will be back for the remainder of our session, which we got no more D&D to play tonight, but we're gonna have a little bit of a round table discussion. I just want to give everybody a chance to recap our story so far, talk about what we've seen, what we've learned, what our suspicions are for the story, ask each other questions about our characters, about where things are going. If you're still with us in chat, there have been a bunch of people with us tonight that I've seen. If you've got questions as well, I'll be keeping an eye on chat. We'll talk to you as well. But we'll come back, have a little bit of a conversation, and then call it a night. And next week will be, as Dimios Themerin said, a whole new league. So stick with us. We'll be back in just a little bit. Oh no, the video doesn't loop.
Yeah, we found that out pretty quickly.
Hey, that's a 4-minute video that has then been silenced since then. Well, we had to redo our entire stream setup twice, so sometimes that happens. Well. Welcome back. So that is for you guys, my players, and for our audience at home, both who are familiar with our story thus far, and for those who aren't. That is the end of what I am calling Book 1 of the campaign that we are playing through in Tabletop Legends, which is obviously a campaign of my own creation in my own game world here. The overarching campaign is called Delve Requisite, which I still think would be a better name for a show than Tabletop Legends, but didn't think of it until after. Too late. We already got the art done. So that is basically the end of book 1, which is, sort of takes us through the process of meeting the group sort of becoming this, going from being a disparate set of individuals to sort of a more cohesive unit, learning a little bit about the world, seeing, a few of the kingdoms, getting a sense for some of the stuff going on, setting the scene for some of our larger meta plot stuff, and then kind of leading us into a kickoff of things getting sort of notched up to the next level in book 2. So we've got. I don't want to let our stream go any later than our normal time would be. At most. So it's about 9:30 now. So and at maximum, I don't want to chit chat for more than 30 minutes here. But I thought it'd be a cool opportunity since we sort of wrapped up that adventure arc, wrap up the book. Next week we will launch into the sort of the intermission story arc that bridges book 1 and book 2. I thought this would be a good chance to sort of talk about the story thus far, talk about, things that you guys might want to bring up, things about your characters, backstories that we've started to learn, any questions that the audience have.
How many books are there total?
Well, it fluctuates because as we go, there's 1,000 books. This is we've just finished book 1 of 42. It fluctuates. When I first wrote the campaign, or sort of the outline of the campaign, there were 5 books in total, that essentially coincided with levels 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, and then the 5th book was sort of the finale, 20th level deal. The story itself, sort of the overarching story has not changed, but as you guys have sort of interjected your own unique stuff into the world, and I've seen sort of how your how you what things you guys find more interesting that you focus on, and what is not as important to you as a group. I've sort of tweaked things, and some of the previous what was 2 books has now gotten kind of intermingled into 1 book. So as of right now, there are 4 books total
Gotcha.
that comprise the story, but that could change tomorrow. I basically have I have the meta plot written out. I have essentially plot points for each of your your character arcs sprinkled in there when I want certain things to come up. I have the main beats of the whole story written out, but other than that, I'm basically creating as we go a little bit, and as something might come up in the story that you guys latch onto, and I maybe wasn't expecting. That I then
guards.
Like guards.
Like an entire ship to teleport through because we all can teleport apparently.
Yep. So I will say I was not ready for that. I'm gonna pull back the DM veil here. Everything beyond the room with the device that broke, I made up as we went.
Sorry, and on the other hand, kind of not.
What's that?
I said on one hand, sorry. On the other, kind of not.
It works out fine. It's not anything that has I'm not sitting here shit. I had to they had to do that and they've totally wrecked.
How does a crystal-powered teleporting ship work? We gotta figure this out right now.
It was always a the thing that the golem or whatever you want to call it, the thing that you found in there, is not something that is game changing. What Fidget discovered as he looked through the ship does not change what the ship always was, what its backstory is. Basically, just gives you guys more information. So this comes with the territory. As you guys were like, I think it was Carlos as Fidget was like, do we really think the Invarians didn't think to teleport in here? I was like, they sure fucking didn't, because I didn't think of it.
In character, I was thinking they probably did. This won't work, but they're.
It was one of those moments where I was like, there's no reason that shouldn't work. That they came up with something that I didn't plan for. Great, let's make it happen. You just gotta roll with that.
It's a credit to you that when faced with not having a plan for being behind that door, you didn't just be like, well, you teleported straight into the bulkhead and you
I was teetering on the edge of making the joke that every time you guys pushed further into the ship, eventually when enough of you moved too close to the end of the ship that it was gonna teeter and just fall. But I was able to sort of keep enough going that it was interesting, and it just gives us more fun stuff to work with later.
So to pull back the veil, what is everybody's characters' reactions and personal goals with the ship and or its contents thus far? What is overall your reaction to this? Yeah. my thought was if Walter popped into this and was like, all right, it's ancient Varian, what can we do about it? What can I take off this that is going to get my debt gone and possibly make me some money on the side, without screwing over the group and or the wizards? And then as soon as it was giant crystal in the center, I was like, there's a chance that this might be able to move at some point. I want this whole ship, because then your debt doesn't matter when you have a tank. If you take a mortgage on a house and then you use that money to buy a tank, they're not going to take their fucking money back because you have a tank.
I think next tax season, when the IRS contacts you, you should just send them back a photo of your tank.
My tank says 6 Semper Tyrannis on it, and then I get drone strike eventually.
As far as Alar, he money is actually at this point it's a secondary thing. He figures first whatever can be learned from this, and more than likely fortune and glory follow very shortly thereafter. It's the holy crap, this thing is older than the ancient Elven Empire, and that he's a bastard remnant of. How the heck did this thing work? Can he make it work again? Can it do what it did before? Did it fly? Did it sail?
It clearly crashed. So
Yeah. What were its abilities? Could it be brought back to life, as it were? And all of a sudden, he's flying a alien ship with God only knows what. Well, I'm pretty sure he could park that right outside Tierra Libre and go, so, about joining your organization.
we're accepting applications.
Yeah. I don't know about joining yours, but if some of y'all want to join mine, I mean, I got this ship.
What about Nula?
I mean,
Yeah,
Nula
what is
doesn't.
Nula's? Nula found a puppy, so that's
I got a puppy. Really, like, she's traveling the world to find Corey. So if this is a means to finding more people who may have more information on her, great. She knows that this means a lot to her friends. So, like, she's going to go along with it, but ultimately she doesn't really care about the money.
Sorry, I'm just picturing this ship flying and Nula with the equivalent of a magic bullhorn going, has anybody
First of all, shore banners, the shore banner like airplanes.
Yep.
Yes.
There's like a 700-foot long trailing like giant sign like, have you seen Corey?
It's like a blimp, just like ad on the side.
Speaking of Nula,
yes.
Which one?
that's what I'm getting at, is that we may I think we need to talk about this group's convention for naming things in general.
It hasn't been the group. It's been a few members of the group, and everybody else gets overridden.
Yeah, I
in fairness, the fact that your horse is named Nula is my fault.
Hey, they wanted to name the puppy, and I was like, the puppy's name is Blinky.
No, as I said, you earned that one.
Look, 2. I want a fucking animal.
Dude, there's a million
Everybody
street
else is
urchins
down.
down the street from the wizard's house. Just pick one.
Is it what?
There's a million like street urchins just like down the street from the wizard's house.
No.
Just adopt one.
Either
This is my familiar.
familiar.
That is a small child.
Yeah.
This is my familiar. It's like a kid in like a bird costume.
I'm also pretty sure there's a feat that would allow you to take a spell off of another list. So
It's
you
a
get,
spell initiate if you wanted to
yeah,
take.
you could get find familiar then, just like Alar has. So you too could have a familiar of your own.
My vision for the blink dog, the reason that I put the blink dog pup in the in there for you guys to potentially like collect, was always for it to sort of be to become like the group's sidekick collectively. It certainly will have a special attachment with Nula, who's claimed the position of its mother, but I'll actually have to give it to you, because by the time there is going to be another sort of passage of time will occur. Essentially the events that you guys making this discovery and essentially staking the claim of this discovery on behalf of the collective of the Arcane Eye as their contracted relic hunters, is gonna like sets a bunch of things in motion. Like, you guys have clearly stumbled upon a pretty monumental find. So those process that will sort of unravel as we I sort of set you guys up for book 2, which means the Blink Dog will have time to grow up a little bit. So I will give you guys essentially like the stat sheet for Blink Dog, because it'll be, and if you choose to travel around with her and keep her with you and stuff, like, she will be able to participate in combat and everything else.
We have to go get her collar. We need to go get her outfit.
Is she up to date on all her shots?
Yeah.
So much more money in rations.
I guess I will pose this question both to chat and to you guys. Do you have any questions about the campaign so far, about the story so far?
I want to know, what's everyone's biggest open question about what we've seen so far that you're hoping to get answered in book 2?
I want to read that book. The book that opened up the madness with the alternate dimension nonsense.
Oh,
Terrible idea.
Yeah, it's objectively a terrible idea, but I'm wondering.
Oh yeah.
So if I can read all writing, if there's anything I can glean from it as a pre-invariant artifact, that maybe like there's answers that can be found without necessarily like drawing them into reality. But that would probably be like, because like I want to know. So we went from sassing a guard captain and getting arrested a lot to to finding a magic seeker that was collecting things for no reason, for some reason that only it knew, and we never figured out. To fast forward, because my memory sucks. We went to the Bolus Trolley Weather Nightmare House, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But it's like, I want to know what the Nothic was looking. If anything, if it was just insane, it's whatever.
The Nothic, so I can tell you. The Nothic, I mean, that's what it was. It was a Nothic. It was the first kind of monster at the end of the end of the mystery in Stone Mill, the kind of the starter town that you guys ended up with. The Nothic, by and large, was just doing what Nothics do, as like that's sort of Nothic's whole shtick, is that they just like lurk around and find these dungeony type places that hold magic stuff, because that's their deal. They are the remnant of a wizard. They're essentially what happens when a wizard has something go terribly, terribly, terribly wrong and afflicts this curse upon themselves that turns them into a Nothic. And the affliction of their curse is that they cannot remember who they were, what they were in life, except they are compelled to try and seek out magical answers, because their curse tells them that if they can find and collect the right magical secrets, they can cure themselves. Even though they can't, they just spend the rest of their existence doing this. So that is sort of what the Nothic was doing. That was how it came to be where it was, and what triggered off everything. Is it basically was a creature that is just compelled and drawn to magic stuff. Got its hands on something that was very dangerous, and in its madness was causing all this issues that it had, where it was summoning undead, and then through its will they were going out and they were trying to steal magic stuff to bring back to it. So that in and of itself is pretty, like, on the face of it, is really just what it was. There was some stuff in what the Nothics, some of the things that the Nothics said to you guys, and some of the ways that it was speaking, and some of the phrasing and terminology that it used was important. Was very specific in some of the things that it said to you.
I gathered that there was something in there, but I still haven't figured out what. Same thing with the guys in Valand. The crazy cult guys with the dead gods.
Yes.
And the in-between place. I know I've experienced the in-between place, and Nula has experienced the in-between place. I don't think anybody else has.
I have.
Have you?
Yeah, I think the only person that hasn't in the party is, well, Fidget.
So, Walter and Brahm have both experienced it in a more direct way, as like Brahm had that brush with death with the mummy, and you had your ritual.
Right.
Nula's thing where she saw her vision of Corey is something a little different. But the lantern, when you guys got flashed with that lantern, that did give anybody who got hit with it did get it sort of a glimpse of that similar place. In more of a like looking at it through a window type of experience than necessarily what Walter and Brom have seen in their sort of
Real quick with the Nothic, it's similar but distinctly different than what's happening with Copper Kettle, where like he can't remember people, so in some sense he can't remember parts of his life, and yet he's seeking all these magical objects to try to find it again.
Yes. And he's not turning into a Nothic.
Yes.
He's turning into a yes thing.
His shtick is it's something that I thought it would make it for an interesting character if you had this character who essentially it's actually Colin Copperkettle's curse is based off of. I had a friend years and years ago who played a character that was a cleric that sort of did something similar, where he had his thing with his cleric was that his cleric essentially like lost his memory at the end of every day when he went to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And so his cleric carried this book around that he just wrote like his life in this book, so that every day when he woke up not knowing who he was, he would like look in this book and it would like tell him, what he was doing, who he was, who his friends and stuff were. Colin Copperkettle came a little bit from that. I always thought that was like a cool concept that he had come up with. So I sort of developed him to have a similar thing where it was this, this core concept of like, he's this wizard, he's afflicted with this curse, it causes him to like, it's stealing his memory from him. It takes memories. Now he can remember everybody that he met before he was cursed.
Right.
But like anybody he met since, after a certain period of time, they're just like, they're just taken from him. So hence the book, he writes people down, he keeps notes on them. That's how he kind of keeps track. It obviously has comedic value, where like, I can keep making that joke where he doesn't remember you guys every time you meet him. It was like something I thought would be interesting, because each of I tried to give each of those wizards their own unique handicap that is sort of the driving force behind why they now are staying in their in their city, in their little apartment, and hiring you guys essentially to do the delving stuff, when they clearly have much more advanced magic at their disposal than a group of low level adventurers were. And that was his. And his Colin's thing is less of like a compulsion to like gather magic stuff, as more of like he's in addition to the stuff that the collective is doing, he's trying to find a way to break the curse that's on him, so that he can get his memory back, as one would, rather than like, I just need all the preciouses and I need to get them.
Yeah.
As far as Aylar goes, he's a little concerned about what's going on with Brom's X organization.
The
idea of the Invarian, the Ignean Empire, rattling sabers and potentially starting trouble is worrying to him, because he's got friends and a family member who live near the border of Mithlinde and the Empire. So if wars start up again, people he cares about are in the potential crossfire.
Sure. Yes, that's definitely something we've seen the sort of the inklings of, that there's some sort of a conspiracy seems to be afoot involving the Ignians, and somehow this Brotherhood of Artanis that we've learned about through Brom's character has got some involvement. So they're definitely out there. They're gonna do some stuff. We're gonna be hearing from them in book 2 for sure.
I mean,
I will
I'm super
say-
interested in finding out what's happening with like all this information that's disappearing. Not just like there's people who are doing things they probably shouldn't be and lying about it. Like that's what people in powerful positions do. But there's a bunch of information that's just vanishing. And Fidget doesn't know anything about it yet. Although I cannot wait for Fidget to go meet Archivist Bert.
Yes.
But like who has the ability to do that and why are they doing it are like huge questions that what are their motivations? I have no idea. Who's powerful enough to do that? Why? Like
Yeah, particularly why dragons? Why is that information suddenly vanishing?
It's probably not suddenly vanishing. It's just why is that?
why
is
has
that
no one else
specifically-
noticed?
Yeah.
Is another question.
I like the idea that we may get involved in like a battle between shadow organizations, like just on the back end somehow. That would be super silly.
I'm kind of hoping it comes. It's one of those. We're caught by one, then the other shows up, and then it's just us running pell-mell while they're trying to kill each other, and just hoping that they don't notice that we've left until most of them have killed each other.
I don't know if we will get the opportunity to talk with Trolley Weather, but I think it'd be interesting because he seems like a plethora of information that he just wasn't able to share with us because he was so sick at the time. And also, if we go back to the original town with the girl who had the magic ability that
Yeah, I would kind of hope that if there's a large enough time jump to go back there and find out whether that seed in the ALR was trying to plant of here's some knowledge about how to cast a spell.
It's
Keep
all
practicing.
burned down. It's 100% burned down to the ground.
So I do keep track. So basically, like every NPC that you guys come into contact with, at the very least, I have like a little footnote for them. So you come in contact with, I believe her name was, if I can get my notebook up. I'm going to say it was Amelie Turner or something like that.
That
Turner.
sounds right.
It was definitely
Turner
Turner.
was-
The Turner girl, but I think Amelie was her mom.
Might have been. It's been ages. She's in there somewhere, but I have a note that's like burgeoning magical ability. And it's one of those things like I keep track of these things, and it's by its nature D&D is no path is set in stone. So it's like you may never come back to that.
Yeah.
But you may. So it's like I always try to keep track, even if it's just something very brief of like, okay, here's the interaction that they had with this character. So like, if ever for whatever reason you could tell me for whatever, as we get to a certain point in the story, you could tell me like we are gonna go here for this reason. It's very, largely can be driven by you guys. So like, I always have to be ready for that type of stuff. So, there's a footnote for that little girl there. Like, Archivist Bert, in some ways became a bigger character than he originally would have been.
Roger and the boys.
Rogers and the boys are out there.
I hope that we can be on better terms with them because we've like tried to like give their business card out for like, hey, we're busy right now, but hire these guys. We know they're good and they're pretty harmless or whatever. Like, I'm actually curious. I'm super curious about the girl member of Rogers and the Boys.
The tiefling, yeah.
Yeah, or whatever's left of her.
I mean, she's alive. Alar does owe her a hand crossbow.
That is true.
That's still one of my favorite Brom lines from our meeting with Rogers and the boys when we were trying to negotiate deals. It was like something like, either, how about this, new deal? Either you give us everything Well, we beat the ever-loving shit out of you right here.
I think my favorite Brahm line is "Dust with your eyes."
Dust with your eyes.
Didn't feel what you're trying on my dresses.
I guess I have one more question if we have another minute or two.
Yeah, we got a minute.
I guess one of the most dramatic things for me was the episode after Kel died. How surprising was it that Kel just died? And like I haven't played a ton of 5e, but I'm used to feeling like pretty invincible in 5e relative to other systems that are much more punishing.
Mm-hmm.
And then like we just had someone die, and that whole episode was just like a very like we had a couple of cathartic moments. We had Nuala being super upset and like either actually murdering a guy or almost murdering a guy. I don't remember what the order was.
What was that?
She murdered that guy.
I mean, to be fair, he was not walking out of that place.
She smited him. It's what paladins do. They don't do murder.
He Jackson popped him into a wall.
That's true. I mean, I'll say as a DM, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that we hit the massive damage insta kill rule in that fight. As the confluence of things that had to happen to get us there were very specific. Where Kel had to get, low points to begin with. He hit a wild magic surge that basically made him like
The shining god
number
beacon.
one top target. The movement speed of that creature was such that it took it like 2 or 3 rounds of combat to get to that position. So like Kel had to be out front, already weak, have like I think your last line was something like you yelled something like "I am the hand of your reckoning" or something like that.
Yeah.
He was trying to get some attention.
And then it crit.
Yeah.
That was a fight.
That's part of the thing. He wasn't low.
Oh, he wasn't.
Untouched when that round of combat started.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he
Because-
hit a couple times.
Yeah, it just hits like a.
It
You
does
said
hit like
yourself. It hit
I mean,
like
that
crap.
was always a fight that was designed to be potentially deadly. Like, it was the last fight of that story arc. It's a pretty big meta plot moment, like what sort of was going on there. And it's just one of those things in D&D where it's like, sometimes that shit happens.
Yeah.
My biggest regret of that fight was even though he was insta-killed, I think I could have recovered his body if I didn't go for the lantern, at least, which would have not let him get absorbed into the goo. So the resurrection would have been expensive, possibly, or even viable at that point, but like once he was absorbed into the floor goo.
I think, at least as DM, I think it's some very interesting things will come from that.
Oh, for sure.
Because
Like,
that thing
I mean,
absorbed Kel and is now out there.
yeah. So like, it's definitely like, yes, it was absolutely surprising that like, oh shit, this can insta kill us, but then it's like, oh wait, he's a sorcerer, 6 hit die, so, lol.
It's
I mean, I've played in a couple of campaigns where characters have died. Heck, I played in a campaign where my character, one of my characters bought it. I had to jump into a new character in fact next session. That group and that campaign wasn't as story driven as ours or character driven. But it was fun to take on something different. The character who died was a cleric of like a god of strength, so he was kind of like an NFL linebacker. Whereas the new one that I played What are you?
This is after
Jason's-
Kel died.
Jason's backup characters.
I made so many characters
Okay, Tony Stark.
because I was like, oh, you can just die. I got to figure out what I want to play besides Walter. Let's like make a stupid amount of characters. So I have like 3 or 4 specifically for this campaign that would.
I like the one in the middle that
fit.
just says Christmas Walter, right?
Christmas.
Oh yeah. This is
It's
the one with
exactly the same character, except he has a Santa hat.
the hat. No, this is the one where we got the scarves. Or no. Kel had the scarf. I had. Yeah, I think I did have a Santa hat or something like that. It was just like I made an alternative
Yeah,
character.
the
So I
ski
didn't-
Got a ski mask.
Yes, I need you to get that ski mask somehow in the main game because reasons.
I mean, I try to make, because it is 5e.
Oop.
I try to make encounters that are like potentially very deadly. It's always, of course, the juggling act of like you want to make it potentially deadly, potentially dangerous, but you don't want to like make it unfairly so. And I know after after that session, because we had like a 1 session break where we were like, okay,
It was
let's
too-
we'll re-roll. It was a couple of weeks in between, but it was like we had a break between like when Kel was like dead and when we were like, is Kel dead?
Right.
Yeah, it was like all of Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
Well, I know, like I agonized, and I think I told you guys like after you guys left that night, you all left my house, and then like I went to Wawa and bought a bunch of like junk food and like stress ate because I was like so stressed out that I had killed a player character. But it was it's one of those things where
Oop, you muted.
I muted.
Yeah.
I can hear him fine.
I can hear him.
Can you hear the rest of
guys-
us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh yeah.
You guys have, to a lesser degree than like our Wednesday home game, but like, you guys have the potential. Like in general, as a group, you guys hit like a truck. So, proportionally, like the challenges have to be that much more deadly.
Mhm.
And it's like that thing was not one hit. It hits hard, but it's very slow. I think it has like 10 feet of movement or something around. It took it forever to get to. It's very slow. So it was one of those things where it's like, that's the trade-off. It's like the way stuff worked out, the way that the way everybody moved in the room, the way everything happened is like it hit Kel, and like Kel's a sorcerer. Kel does not have enough hit points to survive that. Is where like any number of things could have gone any other way, and it probably wouldn't have gone down like that. But it made me really appreciate as like the weeks went on that like as a group, everybody's like we're all cool. And it wasn't like Carlos was like you fucking killed my character, you piece of shit. He was like, it's D&D, it happens.
Like these things happen, and that was as far as deaths that I've experienced go, that one had like a pretty exciting way that it paid off, right? Like other characters got particularly upset about it. It's sort of a wake-up call for like a lot of the things that we were doing before about just like running in and figuring out what's going on after we're already knee-deep in it.
I mean, we're still going to be doing some of that anyway. I mean, we're adventurers.
I eat like Brahms' brush with death, and then Kel's brush with death, or brush. Kel's actual shit kicking of death. I used that as kind of like a direction to build Walter out of anyway. So I mean, like ultimately, like both of those loss and near losses helped like focus the character direction I wanted to build my character in. I'm sure it affected everybody else's decision making too, where it's like, oh, okay, so not only is death a possibility, but it could be an inevitability. And
yeah, I do. I definitely solidified a later choice I'm going to be making as I build my character.
Nice.
I've gone on record multiple times saying if Braum dies, I quit.
Alright, so 9th level, I'm taking Aura of Life, and fine. So you can't die, even if you want to. You're gonna be like Captain America, just like you get hit, you get knocked to 0, you get 1 HP, you get back up. It's like I could do this all day. Just stay within 30 feet of me.
Yeah, I think it's been cool so far. To give a closing thought here as we wrap up. I don't want to go much longer. I will definitely say, like, I put together sort of my game world here, my lore, my history, my campaign story that we were going to go through. But the injection of you guys and your characters and the backstories that you brought to the table and the things that you wanted to do and like the direction that you have taken the story has like infinitely made the world more interesting and more rich, and like all of these intertwining threads of of stories and narratives that we're going to get to explore are way more intense and like exciting for for me to see where things go than anything that I could have like concocted on my own. So I'm very excited for book 2 and for the story to continue.
Will there be peeps?
Oh my god!
It's canon.
So,
Peeps are canon.
It's not on the stream screen, but Becca, when you said "Will there be peeps?" I looked up at your screen and your face is glitching out like crazy, and it was absolutely terrifying. It was like Nintendo, like a bad Nintendo cartridge pixelated.
Peeps.
I need to find you guys actual peeps with bones in them, because
No, you don't.
I do.
Why would you do that?
Why do you like
real
the
people.
way that you are,
Why you
Jason?
find them?
Candy bones.
You need to find them like somebody's done that already.
Look, the internet is a strange place. I'm sure somebody's put bones in a peep.
It's more concerning that he thinks he's gonna find it and get it.
I mean,
I just want you to know, right here, right now, I am judging you.
okay. I accept your judgment.
Yeah, I'm
I
also going to go on record that if Jason shows up with bone peeps, I also
I
quit.
quit. I think we all quit at that point.
Yeah, I don't care if it's our first day back. Person he shows up with those. Forget canceled. It's just I'm gone.
Just the stream cuts to black. We never hear from any of us again.
It cuts to black and then cuts back in with like vaguely like stunt double looking people.
Yes, you get great value countertop stories.
Yeah. Okay, so two things before we cut the stream here. One, who do you want to give the golden D20 to next week? As you all had one this week and nobody used
Oh
it.
yeah, we all forgot about that.
You thought we wouldn't remember, and you were right.
There just wasn't anything for me to. I
I didn't even make a
We
single
didn't make
roll
a ton of
for him.
rolls, yeah.
Yeah, so
Every roll anybody made was, except for my 5 for perception, was like a 20 plus.
Yeah.
Just roll it
So
over to
yeah,
next week.
I was saving it just in case we need to make a roll for, actually getting out, or, to convince the Malakov village, don't go back there. Place is haunted. No, seriously, place is haunted.
I guess I could have tried to use it against the door, but I rolled an 18, and it's still the no.
Honestly, it wouldn't have mattered that the door, the material that like I created for the ship, has a damage threshold higher than you guys reasonably would have been able to do with your weapons.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking Fidget because he was able to find the giant ruby.
Fidget did find a giant ruby.
Yeah, Fidget did burn literally probably all of his spell slots, ruining Matt's time with making stuff up on the spot.
Who was the first one that had the idea to look through the door?
Thank
No.
you,
Was that
Fidget.
also Fidget?
Fidget used clairvoyance,
Okay.
and then
Because
Newell
I
used
thought
the
of the
paint.
paint afterwards.
Then, yeah, you were the one that did think about using the paint that way. So, uh,
My vote is fidget.
I'm gonna say fidget because that entire sequence of events happened because he was through the door. I didn't know how to broach it without like metagaming hard, but I was gonna suggest dimension dooring through the door anyway. I didn't think about you could possibly teleport jump through it. The bonus action one, Misty Step, because you have to see. I was like, it's a closed door. I can't see the other side. And then it was like, oh, we have paints. It's like, cool. Okay, yeah, we can actually all literally teleport. This puzzle is irrelevant. We can just walk through it.
yeah.
see,
Go ahead.
my debate is like, partially do I vote for Nula because A, that was a creative way to use Misty Step, but B, also was it just because Becca didn't know how Misty Step worked? Like,
No,
was
I
it
read
a
it
creativity
right
or a
beforehand.
lack of knowledge?
I want to give it to Nula as well for that that out of the box thinking, particularly because I picture Nula's character as somebody. While she has spells, she doesn't really think about
That's an excellent
Using
point.
some of
Let's
their.
give it to
also
her.
like- I also
She
like-
hid Misty Step from herself and all of us this
Yeah.
whole time.
I like when she was like, I have Misty Step, and Jason was like, yo, what now?
Yeah, I picture all of us just turning and looking at her, going, "What?"
Like
Didn't I
I
use
think
it once?
I have used Misty Step for probably about a third of all of my spell slot castings at this point. And like I don't recall you having used it once because I would have immediately been like, wait a second, we have a teleporting paladin.
Wait, no, she did use it in the trolley weather house.
I thought I
To
did.
be fair,
in the
Nula
battle.
uses very few of her spells for things that are
They're
not
for
smiting.
smiting. Yeah, that's what they're for.
And speaking with animals.
So is Nula our vote for the D20 next week?
I think so.
I think
All
we're all
right.
comfortable with that.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Then in that case, Nula, you will have our golden D20. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for joining us in chat. Next week, we will have the very exciting kickoff of our intermission arc between Book 1 and Book 2. And I can tell you this is going to get crazy. So, thank you to our sponsors. If you have not done so, please subscribe and follow us here at Proficiency Bonus. Join us every other day of the week for all of our D&D and other nerdy-related content that we put out. And join us for apparently every spare second between all of our scheduled streams while Christy gorges herself on Final Fantasy Remake.
That game is gorgeous, and you have to admit that much.
Alrighty, well, I'll see you guys next week. Stay safe out there. We're going to be doing this virtual tabletop for the foreseeable future until we can go back to our in-person sessions. So thank you for bearing with us during this crazy time, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.